Welcome to the What Are We Doing Here podcast, where we share the inspiring stories of two completely opposite women who overcame their unhealthy relationships with food and negative self talk and found a path to health and healing through self discovery and natural nutritional supplements. I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Brittany, and today we're going to discuss consistency. Lindsay, we're going to let you start.
All right. So, we thought that it would be a good idea to talk about being consistent and how consistency leads to success. And that is with any journey. It doesn't matter if it is a health journey, a fitness journey, a business journey, it doesn't matter. The only way to be successful is to stay consistent. And we wanted to talk about our experiences with consistency, our experiences with success when we're consistent, because I know looking back 10 years, even, there are things that I look back and see. Could I have been more successful at that time if I were more consistent? If I had stayed the course with that goal and taken the daily steps, showed up and given 100% every day consistently. And I know for sure that I would have had some different results just by staying consistent. Do you have any experiences like that?
Yeah, even with the business right now, it the consistency that I provide, if I stay consistent, then I'm going to get results. The moment I start slacking off, the moment I think, oh, I'm going to take a day or two off, my results aren't as good. So my success is directly correlated to how consistent I am, for sure.
100%. And I think that goes back to we have to trade desires for discipline, because there are a lot of times, always staying consistent is the hard thing.
hmm
There's always an episode on Netflix you could go watch. There's always a event that you could go to. There's always extra hours you could sleep in. But these are things that you have to trade those desires for the discipline to get up and work out, to be consistent at meal prepping, to be consistent at posting on social media, to being consistent in taking calls and following up with people. Those are the consistent actions that you have to take to directly correlate to your amount of success. And, people will sometimes wonder and or feel frustrated that they don't have what someone else has. But what you don't see is the behind the scenes of all of the events they've missed, the parties they didn't
Yes.
go to,
hmm
the dinners they said no to stay home and work and consistently do the things that move the needle forward. I can tell you, when I was prepping for my last competition, that there were multiple times that in the evening there were events, there were things, there were dinners, there were things that I had to say no to because I had to consistently get the cardio in.
hmm
Because if I didn't, the results were going to show when you step on stage. And so a lot of times it's really difficult to trade the desires to stay disciplined, but that is so important. And obviously, we all fall short sometimes, but
Yeah, so I mean, it's no secret that we met through the same company. We don't talk a lot about it here because that's not what this podcast is about. It did bring us together, but you know, our our success with the company is correlated to how often we're there, how often we show up, how consistent we are. And you and I both have agreed to like work really hard and stay consistent for a couple of years. And so that those 2 years are up, those 3 years are up, we all of a sudden have a different life. So yes, what you're saying 100%. If you stay consistent now, it's going to pay off later. You can either live with the regret of not staying consistent, or you can stay consistent and reap the rewards. It may take a few years, but when you look back, the 2 years you give up of your life to stay consistent, they're going to seem like a drop in the bucket, right?
Yep. 100%. And, it's crazy because I had made a social media post. I had made a social media post last Friday that, I had a record breaking check from the company. And it's been really difficult to do my corporate job, my ER job, and stay consistent. But those are the things, making the posts, talking to prospects, doing the things regardless of how difficult it is, because I plug it in on a calendar every single day. There has to be an hour every day, regardless, either before I go to work or after I go to work, that you're making content, you're responding to messages, you're doing your development, whatever it is that has to be in your calendar. I heard someone say once, show me your calendar and I can show you your level of success.
Right.
Because if you put it in there and you stay disciplined to making sure those actions take place, and you show up and are confident and consistently showing up for yourself, there is no stopping you.
Agree. Yeah.
You recently got a new planner,
I
and we
did.
talked about that last week. And so, do you feel like that has been helping you with consistent steps? Are you putting things in there that, you feel like are helping you stay consistent with tasks that you need to do to move the needle forward?
Absolutely, because he's very specific in his book that you don't want a blank sheet. You don't want any blank space. You would rather have a full calendar and you not get something done and move it to the next day than to have blank space, dead time. Because you're not going to stay consistent. That's when you start getting lured away to do something else. So, yeah, it definitely helps me to plug it in, plan out my day by each little section of my day and continue to look at my goals every single day. But going
Absolutely.
back to what you were saying, because that's a big one for me. You've mentioned before that a lot of times you can measure success by different things, and how do you measure this? But when you have a record breaking paycheck from the company for yourself, like that's a big deal. You can measure what I've done this week has paid off, right? So
Right.
yeah, different ways to measure your consistency, whether it be writing the stuff down, but also, how successful you were in being consistent because of your paycheck going up.
Absolutely. And
I'm so sorry, y'all. I've been
that's okay.
sick. It's just allergies, but I'm still coughing.
There's also a fine line between we like to celebrate wins,
Hmm.
and that is a good idea to every night write down your wins. But I think sometimes we also, in American culture, we will start to celebrate ourselves for minimum effort.
Yeah, I can see that. You get comfortable for sure.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And so, what if your goal was, to sell 2 items a week?
So that's
Well,
you're not setting your goal high enough. Then I mean, you've got to like make a huge goal, right?
I do agree, but what if, I mean, it's 2 and okay, let's say 10, and you're at 9. And you're like, well, I said I was going to get 10 to go out to eat or whatever. Or I said I was going to get 10 to do XYZ. But there's a lot of times that we're like, man, 9 is pretty close. Let's
Nope.
just go with it.
Nope.
You've never
That's
done that?
discipline though. No, but I'm that girl, Lindsay, like I'm a rule follower and to me that's cheating. You know what
I
I'm
love
saying? Like I have to keep a list and until I check every item off, like I do not reward myself. So no, I don't agree with you there. But go ahead. I mean, we're
I
allowed to
do
have
think that
opposing
there
views.
there are a lot of people in this world who do, and I can tell you that is an experience that I've had in the past. Is doing doing the work for 1 week, and or doing the work for a couple of weeks, and rewarding yourself without continuing to stay consistent. It's a hard cycle sometimes that people will get in. Is I've done enough, I did good enough, and instead of continuing to push to meet the goal, we say I did good enough, and that's how you start falling out of being consistent.
Okay, so I can kind of relate to that when you put it that way. Kind of like flea market weekend. It's such a busy weekend. I know that on Sunday night I'm gonna go have sushi. It's not on my meal plan, but I know that I'm gonna reward myself with sushi. So either I can get up Monday morning and start doing what I need to be doing to get back and be consistent and showing up for myself, or I can go, "Ooh, I had sushi last night. I can get by with something else again today, and then we'll start again tomorrow." So you can kind of then fall into a pattern of, cycling, and then when does it stop? Like at what point does the negative stop and you start being consistent again? So I see what you're saying there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess it's kind of like that. Like if your goal for the weekend was to sell $5,000, and you're like, then that equates to sushi, but you're saying regardless, you're going.
Hmm.
And so I guess that's kind of what I'm saying. Like we reward ourselves because we did enough, even if it wasn't like we had a super high standard, and we really worked hard and consistently, like, because if your goal was 5,000 and you were at 480, were you going to still go,
Right.
or were you going to push hard enough to get it to go, to know that you consistently did what you had to do to be able to reward yourself?
And that makes sense. Yeah.
Or were you going to be good enough and I'm going anyway?
No, I'm going regardless because that's what I'm going to do. That's the one time a month that I reward myself because it's hard work. 16, 18 hours a day dealing with people that really just don't want to be nice. People they're packed in like sardines, and I have my
But see,
regulars that are fantastic, but retail's
but
hard,
that's
man.
that's the mindset I'm talking about,
Yeah.
though, that you can fall into easily and
Mhm.
say, I did enough, so I deserve this,
Right.
regardless of if you did $500 less than you did the weekend before or whatever. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
so we fall prey to, I worked hard. And you can see it as I worked hard, even if you didn't stay consistent. So
Yeah. And that makes sense. Right.
I didn't make that point very well, but
Well, no, I mean, that's the whole point is we have two totally different views, and we try to come together and meet and see the way the other one sees it, but at times we don't, and that's okay, you
yeah.
know?
Because I guess on the other side of that, like, is there something that you do if you don't stay consistent? Like you take something away, you don't do something because you weren't consistent. I guess maybe that's a better way to look at it than not being consistent enough and still rewarding yourself. But if you don't stay consistent and you miss some of the days and you don't show up for yourself and you don't meal prep and you don't work out consistently, unless you're ill, unless you're listening to your body, that's different. But if you just choose the desire over the discipline and you continue to do that, where is the punishment, so to speak? Where is the pain that you can feel that gets you back on track?
And I think that has to do with what you're being consistent with, because if it has to do with our business that we're in together, I mean, the
We see
pain is
money.
my paycheck is
Mhm.
not going to be as big as it was,
Right.
right?
Right.
If I decide I'm going to sleep in today and hit the snooze, like, then guess what? I didn't learn from that meeting. I'm not going to make as much money. So there's the pain for me.
But those are natural consequences. Is that enough to make you stay consistent?
I mean, I guess you have to have a form of discipline yourself. You
Yeah.
really do. Because there's no way we could stay consistent for 2 years at doing this if we weren't didn't have some form of self-discipline, for
Right.
sure.
Or an accountability person.
Yeah. Or somebody to call at 11 o'clock crying. Yeah. 100%.
Or somebody to say, "Oh, do you just want to go to bed and we'll do it tomorrow?" No.
Uh-huh.
We said we'd post at 6 a.m.
Exactly.
So, and that's that discipline piece. And I
Mhm.
think it's hard for people to hear that because you really have to look inside yourself and see that it is your choice. You choose to be disciplined and show up for yourself and stay consistent, which directly correlates to your level of success in anything you do. And we can make excuses all day long. My kids, no time, no sleep, no money, no whatever. Like, but we all have the same time in the day. And people will argue all the time.
I I cannot tell you. I have heard excuse after excuse after excuse this week. I don't know if it was the moon or what. And it's just like I forgot my dog in the back. I don't know. It's just crazy stuff that they're making up because it cannot be real. People will find anything to get out of something. And I don't understand it. I don't. Because when I make a commitment, I'm going to show up and I'm going to show up at 100%. Otherwise I don't make the commitment. And you can
Yeah.
ask anybody in my life that, like, if I don't know 100% that I'm going to feel like going to that baby shower, which that was back when I was having health problems, but I'm not going to commit to it until I know, because I don't want to let anybody down. I don't want to let myself down because I'm laying in bed and I'm like, man, I should have went. I feel bad now. No. Mm-mm. So,
But I think it's the desire for what you're working towards has
mhm,
to be greater than, because
absolutely.
people say they'll get up and work out and they commit to it, but they give up on themselves all the time. So that is another form of one of those that it really is, you either have the desire to have the success or you give in and make an excuse. Like, if the desire is great enough, if the want and your why is strong enough, you will find a way to do it or you'll make an excuse.
Yeah, because what's that meme? I mean, it's all hard. We choose our hard. Like, it's hard being fat and it's hard dieting. Which choose your hard? It's hard to be married. It's hard to go through a divorce. Choose your hard. Like, everything in life is hard. Everything is a choice. And if you consistently show up for yourself, those choices are going to be a lot easier.
Right. Absolutely. Yep. So, staying consistent, choosing discipline over desire, or don't complain about it. Don't complain about not being successful. Don't complain about that. That's the piece of it, though. Like,
Right
it's
there.
fine if you want to choose your desires, but then you don't have room to complain and be upset that you're not where you want to be, because you have to have the will to do the hard things if you want to move the needle forward. That's the thing. When people are where you want to be, they're choosing discipline when you're not.
Yeah, the book I'm listening to with the planner that I use, that's what he says. He says, I'm going to show up. I'm going to write my goals down twice a day. Some people are going to write them down once a year. Who's going to succeed? The guy that writes them down once a year because he's tall, he's better looking, he's got more money? No, me, because I write down my goals twice a day. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
being consistent is definitely, and showing up for yourself is definitely going to get you further than anything that, is out of your control. And I agree with the complaining part. The quit with the excuses, quit with the complaining. Like, tomorrow, are you going to have excuses or results?
Yep.
Right? And I was
Mm-hmm.
that person. So that's why I don't feel bad talking about it, because I was that girl that used to have every excuse in the book not to do this or not to do that, or I don't want to go walk on the treadmill or whatever. I made every excuse possible not to have to go to a party. It takes a paradigm shift. You have to decide to show up for yourself, show up for your people, and be consistent if you want the life that you deserve. And quit
Absolutely.
this excuses. That's it. You hit the
Yep.
nail on the head. That was that missing piece right there.
Yep. Yep. Well, I think that sums it all up.
Before I
So
choke again.
if you found some value in this little bit of rambling today, um, share it with someone. Make sure that you like and subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. Give us a 5-star review on your favorite listening platform so that we are more visible to other people. Please interact with us on social media. It is amazing. We love to hear from you.
Uh-oh.
And let us know if we can chat about something
Lindsay?
that will be beneficial for you.
Oh,
Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you next time.
bye.
Bye.